Okay, so welcome to another video and welcome to the month of March. Welcome to another installment of In Pursuit of Perfection. My name is Tamono Priye Hosfall, and in our year of ease, in our year of enjoying the ease of God, we are going to be discussing something that I believe is very important over the next month and maybe even the next 2 months. So we are going to be discussing something called the power and the essence of relationships. So we're going to be looking a little bit, deep into the idea of relationships and, the reason why we have relationships in this world to be able to make us into what it is we are meant to become. And we're just going to have a brief introduction of this idea in this session, and then we'll go into it a bit more detail over the next couple of videos. So the thing you must understand is that a relationship is anything that joins a thing with another thing for the sake of a purpose. And the purpose is not always a good thing. Sometimes it might be something negative. It is not always healthy, but regardless of the health or lack thereof it produces, a relationship has been formed when two or more things are in conjunction with each other for the sake of that purpose. When speaking sociologically, we see that when people hear relationships, the first thing that comes to them is human relationships. They don't really think about the fact that we all have relationships with the things around us and ourselves. And God baked this idea into every fabric of the observable creation. At the base of scientific observation, what we find is that there's this material called atoms, right? And atoms have three components about them. And the three components, for those of us that are a little bit scientifically inclined, will know that they are the protons, neutrons, and electrons. And we find out that even at the very base of scientific observation, right, we find out that there are these three elements that without them, we are not able to have the reality that we have. You get? But the atom being the base still has three components that work in conjunction with each other, right? They work in conjunction with each other for us to be able to have something called chemical reactivity. And chemical reactivity is what allows two separate atoms to be able to come together and be able to now form something new. And that something new is usually called a molecule. Now, the molecules are now like the base of life and the base of basically every other material that we observe. Air is a molecule. Yeah, in the mixture anyways, in the air that we breathe, O2, but that's a molecule with nitrogen and all the other things anyways. And then you have water, what we drink, H2O, and all these many chemical combinations that we have in the world that basically form the foundation of every single thing that humanity seems to be related with or standing on. And this idea makes us know that there is no part of creation that God looked at and said, what, these things or these people can stand alone. And for this thing, we must understand that for a man, in the same way, even the most basic of elements in the observable creation relies on parts working together to be able to become something. It's also the same way men were created, right? Men were created in the same vein, where we find out even if you're looking for status, if you're looking for power, if you're looking for influence, if you're looking for even a family, it can never be achieved alone. If a man says he has family by himself, you'll probably be leading him gently to a place where a psychologist or a psychiatrist will have some conversations with him, because it does not sound normal for a man to say that he has family of himself. And this is the reason why God at the beginning looked at man and said, it is not good for a man to be alone. Now you think God saying it's not good for a man to be alone, he would immediately create another man. But what he ended up creating were other companions before he created the second man, right? So we find out that the important thing that God was looking at was not just for the man to have another man, but for the man to not be alone even if he was a man. So he created the animals, he created all those other things, and he watched to see what Adam would name them before he now created the other man. And this is the same way we must look at it, that for us to be able to have family, for us to be able to have status and influence, imagine saying you're a man of influence. and you don't have anybody. Being a man of influence is predicated on you having people where your word has impact on them. For me to be a man of power, it means that there's somebody that you are able to, pardon my language, lord over. Somebody that you have strength with. So these are the ideas that are fed into us, as human beings, in the sense that for us to be able to do anything, for us to be able to achieve anything, for us to be able to stand at the pinnacle of anything that exists, then it is also necessary for us to understand that we need men. No, to make it, we need men and we need God. Even to do something like keeping yourself from, the Bible will say that, it is, how did the Bible put it again? It said it is hard for a man who is lying alone to stay warm, right? It is hard for a man lying alone to stay warm. But he said, if two lie together, that one is able to give warmth to another. You see, the Bible is always trying to tell us that for you to stay warm, not just even warm physically, not just even warm physically, but also warm emotionally, right? Some people might say, well, maybe if you're a little bit versed with the Bible, you say, well, David encouraged himself in the Lord. That's true. He encouraged himself in the Lord. He did not get himself out of that predicament all by himself. He went to the one person that had the ability to be able to bring him out of that space, bring him out of that mental space, bring him out of that place of pain, bring him out of that place of rejection, bring him out of that place of hurt that the other men that he was in relationship with had put him in. And then the Bible said that he was able to find encouragement in the Lord. And by him finding encouragement in the Lord, he was able to go in partnership with the Lord to achieve the purpose that he wanted in that season. Right? So this is what we must understand, that when it comes to the idea of relationships, God has baked it into our very fabric that we will not be able to achieve anything or achieve much if we do not have healthy relationships, right? Healthy relationships are the foundation for us to be able to build the realities that God desires for us. And if we are able to allow ourselves to be brought in to this very idea of the fact that we need people and we need things to be able to achieve what God wants for us, then we'll find out that life will move in a very different trajectory as we previously thought. There is nothing like a self-made man. For a man to be made, people must notice him. People must buy into his ideal. People must buy into his product. So there is nothing like a self-made man. Any man that says he's self-made is a liar. What part did he have in himself becoming himself in the womb of his mother? He had no part to play in that. It was relationships that brought him to life. And then his ideas and his ideals pulled people onto himself that will be able to bring that vision into reality. So there is no man that is able to stand alone. And as we go into the month, we are going to be discussing some various aspects of this idea of relationships so that we are able to know what we must do to be able to take advantage of this thing that God has given us to be able to pull out the best from the world that we find ourselves, whether it be in politics, whether it be in business, whether it be in ministry, whether it be in any sphere, education that you might find yourself. Good relationships allow you to be able to get good results, right? So this has just been a brief one from myself, just to introduce you into the concept, and we'll just dive deeper into it in our next video. So thank you so much for coming today. God bless you and have an awesome day. This has been Tamno Prios for bringing you the word.